Hey, I'm Pat Motel. I'm the clinic director in Dartmouth.
And I'm Nick Grillo, clinical director at Medicom Ave in Warren.
I started off in a PT career, moving out to Seattle for a bit, finding out things weren't for me. But when I came back to Rhode Island, and at the time Performance, now Highbar Physical Therapy, I got to be with a fantastic team leader for the company, but Rob Grudadaria was my clinic instructor, and I stepped into a role where he was in the same clinic, so he let me really kind of blossom in taking the lead with some of the continuing education, being a part of the committee there for Highbar, making a chance that I could even at an early age, just being the loud, boisterous person that I am, I actually get out and talk to other clinicians who had more experience than me, but it gave me a lot of confidence to say, this is newer research, this is stuff that we can all learn together, and that way I can learn from them and they can learn from me as you're that younger go-getting PT in the role. Yeah.
I think for me, as far as developing from purely clinical into leadership, I think it's still something I find challenging on a day-to-day basis. I love the clinical part of it. The leadership part's a lot of fun. Like I said, it kind of came to me organically, which I'm super fortunate for. But I think now I'm seeing in this specific role that when you have the right people in the right place, leadership part becomes much easier. You're just coaching them up. It's like, how do I make you successful? That becomes a lot less work for you, a lot less demanding from time perspective, emotional perspective, and then you can focus more on the clinical part. I think I've really seen that blossom since joining Highbar a year and a half ago with this group, so I think I've just been super fortunate in that aspect. The first time being a clinic director, what I was most excited about and maybe most anxious or fearful of, I think the exciting part to me was again, getting to lead in its entirety. My previous experiences, again, were these interim roles or like an assistant director where I was supporting the lead of the clinic, so taking on the responsibilities. I think what I found more challenging than I thought it would be helping to grow the business itself, right? The business aspect to me is not, the previous roles, the marketing was kind of done for us. We would record little snippets or have patient epithets, things of that nature, but really getting out in the community, introducing who I was, especially coming from not being from here, being from a completely different area where nobody knew me up here, getting out to the docs, getting out into the patients, doing community events, I think really was a challenge, but I think it's something that I've really started to enjoy more.
Things that I'd be nervous about opening a brand new clinic, absolutely nothing in this regard, which was kind of weird. Because I'm sure obviously people might have that nerves of oh my goodness, are people gonna even know where we are? How do you try and even, do you go out in the side of the road and wave a flag we're open? Yeah. But for the most part, I really wasn't too nervous. I think a lot of it was because there was an infrastructure that we had that made me feel comfortable, whether it be Brian and Lisa and Nick, who were all part of our team who helped guide me, but also too just people having patience, which is something that obviously I personally love about Highbar, but there's a time where they trust in you, you trust in them, and there's a nice growth. But as far as being nervous about are patients going to show up, not at all. There's 8 billion people on this planet. There's plenty of patients to go around. And as long as you're a good, skilled clinician and you're friendly and you're fun and you're empathetic towards people and you listen, people are going to flock to you and it all works out. So,
yeah, I think the support I have comes from a lot of different places. I think professionally, my practice manager is a fantastic human being, Allison Buck. Any question that comes up, I go directly to her. My site coordinator has really stepped up. She is fairly new to the role. We actually just celebrated a year with her. She's, created processes and procedures, again, things that just make my job significantly easier. And then my wife at home she's been awesome. She knew, she took the leap with us moving up here, knew how much time it would take for me to do outside of work, not just the clinical piece, but having to go to meet the docs and get out. She's been super supportive of that, so I'm super fortunate.
Yeah, I feel so much of this regardless is just your family at home, and them being willing to be there for you, because there's going to be some long nights and there's going to be some short days. Sure. But that's the most helpful part.
Big deal, very big deal.
Yeah, being a leader and its impact on me, I think it makes you change what you think about every day. Maybe you're scrolling through social media and you see some quotes about what it takes to stand up for things, or when you finally start to have kids and the world you want to give and perception to them. But I think a lot of what it means to me to be a leader and create some kind of special culture, that's part of what you do at home, and it's part of the conversations when you have on good days and bad days. It's part of what you do at work, and I think that it's a lot harder to be happy, but it makes all the effort that you do worth it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think you start to carry those leadership qualities and routines into multiple aspects of life, right? At home, with your friends, with your family, being able to communicate, understand the multiple perspectives that go into day-to-day life, but outside the professional world. So I think, like you said, like building that from the ground up at home, and then taking those skills and applying them across like a larger area is a significant benefit of jumping into that leadership role.
Yeah. The impact that we make on the community, you can feel it sometimes, especially when you get patients who say, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, whether it be just any healthcare professional right now who takes the time to listen, to want to be there for you, give you different ideas. So when they start to say to their friends, to their families, hey, there's somebody in town who's willing to help us with some part of that life, you can feel it. And especially too, when somebody comes in and they cooked you a big meal, especially I'm a fan of just any kind of whether it be an ethnic food that I haven't really tried before. And so it's, their grandma has this amazing Vietnamese egg roll recipe or something. One, you just feel the love, but two, it also helps you get really in touch with what's going on in town. So part of it's feeling the impact you get when they want to bring more people into you, but also too, seeing the people you can help and what it means to them, helping them get out and be a part of a soccer team, get back to baking cookies for their grandkids, or whether it be just, hey, I was able to go for a walk in the mall, but I guess it makes you feel like the impact you gave ends up making the community have more life.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree. I think what I've seen since joining the clinic I'm at now is to echo what Pat's saying, is the patients referring friends, referring family, referring friends of friends. That I think that population for us has continued to grow because we're offering great care. We really, really listen to patients, like Pat's saying. We're getting great outcomes, and people, nobody wants to be hurt after to go to PT, but people look forward to coming back, because I think we've created an environment where it's like, hey, we're family, like you said. Let's share meals, let's share recipes, let's involve the patients in things that we're doing socially at the clinic too. So I think that's been a big impact for us.
It's the best and worst part about PT
right.
is on that last day, it's get out of here, don't you ever come back.
Yeah.
But I'll see you later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See you somewhere else.
Thing I'm most excited about, and I hope to make an environment where there's not a single day where you feel like you're at work. And whether that be goofy theme days like people know I like to put on, or whether it just be an environment where there's not unwanted weirder conversations or anything. It's just a matter of hey, when I pull into the driveway for the clinic and I turn my car off, I don't want to sit there and pause and look off in the distance and have those Sunday scaries. Just walking in and having an environment where it's fun, and we're just hanging out with people in the community, and we're getting them back to doing things they want to do, crawling on the ground to get ready for gardening, playing games, I think that's the thing I'm most excited about, is creating a culture that feels like it's not really work for us.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what I'm most excited about for my clinic is, I think the people that we have in place now, everyone's striving upwards, right? There's not and I think that's part of the environment we've created. There's not really complacency. It's not I'm just going to just cruise here. I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I want to learn. I want you to learn with me. I want to share whatever advice, whatever experiences. It's a lot more collaborative, and I think that it only allows us to offer better care and create a better environment for our patients. So I think continuing to support that in whatever way, shape, or form that comes at me, I think is what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, especially when you have other people in the clinic and they're your mentor, but they're also a mentee, and that way you guys can learn from each other, and it creates even just a better friendship too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the advice I'd have is someone who's making a big change, moving, maybe to a different state or different area, and obviously Pat can speak to this a bit with the Seattle piece, but it's exciting. I think I had this expectation that it was going to happen really fast, and that definitely it doesn't. It takes some time to get out in the community, to meet people, to foster those relationships with your coworkers. I was super fortunate. The PT who was kind of in my role before had really set things in motion. So again, I'm just lucky that she had that ball rolling and was able to pass that along to me. But don't be scared to step outside the box. Don't be scared to take chances. Don't shy away from the things that make you uncomfortable. I really had to push myself to do that. And so I think utilizing those pieces of advice, and obviously when you make a leap, you're making it for a reason, right? And don't forget that. Remember why you're there, why you're doing it, and just kind of stay the course.
If I had advice for somebody who was nervous about starting a clinic from scratch, I think I would tell them to trust themselves. You know, I think that there's people out there who think like you, who want to, you know, learn from you, grow with you, and whether that be patients or whether it be coworkers or whatever it is. And, you know, if you feel like you want to start something new because you want to build something unique and different, then you got to go find it. And I think if you don't do it, you're always going to sit and wonder, what if?
What I look for, you know, someone who's pursuing a leadership role is what is the structure around you to allow you to do the clinical piece and leadership piece simultaneously. There's obviously going to be times where the need for each of those roles is going to change as far as how much time or energy you have to devote to each. But you know, what people are around you, what support structures are around you, who can you reach out to? I know part of the reason I joined Highbar was for that. Like, you know, I was able to interview with Brian and Dave and the clinic I'm at, and I never felt like I could not reach out to them, no matter what they had going on. Send them an email, a text, you know, a Teams. I think that level of support is only built for success.
Yeah, I think you're spot on that it comes from communication. When you think about trying to say you want to go to a place that's going to foster you as either a new student or someone who's changing things in their career, there's a smell test that just happens, right? And it comes from the first email you get, and it comes from all the people who you meet there. And like you said, if it feels like you can or cannot reach out, in my experience from working in multiple states across the country, from being lucky enough to see PT in other countries, like you can feel it. And I think that if you're looking for a place, a lot of places will advertise mentorship. A lot of places will advertise that they're gonna, you know, hold your hand, and then you get there and it's not what it's like. So I think, like you said, when there's people talking to you, you can feel that someone's being genuine. And I think that making sure they have support structures in place for you, making sure that there's a place that they are willing to go above and beyond for you and invest in you as much as you want to invest in them. Yeah,
and I think too, like the potential for growth, right? Like, you know, we're in these director roles, but if we wanted to start programs or do other things, I think within reason, Highbar is nothing but supportive of that. You know, as long as it makes sense for what we're doing and the common goal of the company, that potential for growth is something I hadn't experienced before. There was always this kind of ceiling that existed unspoken, and I think I'm not sure that quite exists here, or at least I don't feel it does. I think the type of person that would be, you know, great to pursue a leadership role is someone who's super, you know, empathetic with others. They want to hear, you know, they're checking in daily, weekly, whatever it might be with their people to foster growth, to foster a healthy work environment. I think someone who can communicate well, like what we've been talking about this whole time, right? Is like, how, you know, how do I help you become better? How do you help me become better? And not letting those communication lines kind of die out. I think what I've seen in leadership is the people that establish that connection and don't allow that to fizzle out are the ones that foster the most success. And I've tried to emulate that, you know, with what I'm doing now.
The right person who'd be available to open up a clinic in a new area, in a new community. I think it's somebody that wants to create joy, and I think we can all get there in different ways. You know, it might be, you know, a certain niche population you really want to reach, or it might be a certain like way that you present yourself to people, and that might come off good or might come off bad. But I think you gotta have some level of a drive and a want. Because if you just show up, if you're a person who's just, I hope this will happen for me, it's not gonna. There's a purpose behind what you're doing, and there's a want to have some level of sacrifice, so that way when you do come across some harder times, you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and get dirty.
Absolutely. I'd say the most rewarding part, seeing the people, again, the people I have in place right now, seeing their commitment to self-growth. And when you have that level across the board, your leadership tasks, responsibilities, that burden becomes so light. It's really just, you know, how can I help you continue to do that? How do we remove those barriers? And I think we have a team of people right now that all have that same goal, and I think it's really helped us grow, especially as of recent. So I think that's been the most rewarding thing I've seen since joining Highbar.
The most rewarding part of this journey as a physical therapist in a leadership role, I think a lot of it is when patients, they're so happy they found you.
Yeah.
You know, I think also too now, a lot of the medical professions are pressed for time, effort, and resources, and so when somebody trusts you and keeps coming back and always has a new question for you, I think it always just shows you this level of trust and belief. And part of that comes also too from the culture that you create, that they felt comfortable in your environment. And so when they go to another place and it's not the same, then they immediately come right back and go, I didn't know how good this was. And I think when those words come out, it helps you get that little bit of pride of like, hey, we are doing something. Because of course there's long days where you wake up and it's dark out. And it's like, do I really want to do this? But I think that's the most rewarding part, when people have experienced something else and they tell you how special they feel like what you've created really is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.